Do you know the real story of what happened to Molly Roloff? For years, rumors have been swirling about her life since she disappeared from the public eye. From marriage, divorce, babies, and even hating her family, the rumors are never ending. And guys, I've uncovered the real story about Molly and everything she's been up to since she left Little People Big World years ago. So we all know that Molly was once a major cast member on Little People Big World, like every other member of her family. I mean, she practically grew up on Little People Big World, and then just like that, she disappeared. Just like her brothers Jeremy and Jacob, Molly decided to stop appearing on her family's reality show, but her reason is much different than theirs. It was like one day she was there, and the next day she wasn't. And ever since she left the show, no one really knows what's been going on with her. I mean, we all suspected that she left because of distance, and apparently after Molly had gotten married and moved into her new home, it became virtually impossible for her to always be at the farm, and the distance between Molly's home and the family farm is about 5 to 7 hours, so there's really no way she would have been able to appear on the show on a regular basis. But still, you would think that she could still make appearances from time to time if she wanted to. But guys, the answer is no, because it turns out that Molly's disappearance from Little People Big World goes beyond the distance. Although no member of the Roloff family has clearly stated why Molly left the show, like ever, it turns out that there might have been an incident that occurred a long time ago that seemed to have played some pretty crazy part in her disappearance. So last year, Matt had appeared on a podcast and he gave us some clues on what the incident was about. So according to him, they had some scares when they just started filming Little People Big World. He actually brought it up because he was talking about Jacob's devastating revelation about the producer who acted inappropriately towards him, and he said that it had never even occurred to them to watch out for people working with them because they had dealt with stalkers and other crazy things with Molly, and just from people who watched the show. So as expected, he and Amy were very protective of their children, and they didn't want them to get hurt, most especially Molly. So it's hard to guess what really happened, but whatever it is, it seems like Molly was right in the center of it, and maybe that was why she went to school so far away from home. And apparently there were certain fans that were too excited to get close to the members of the family that they liked, and it seems like the Roloffs were dealing with a classic case of just obsessive fans, and Matt didn't really get into much detail about what had happened, but I guess it's safe to say that it left a huge effect on the family. And I mean, how else can you explain why Matt is still talking about it years after it has happened? But the entire family seems to have moved on from it, including Molly. I mean, right now she's happily married, and as far as we know, she's the only Roloff kid that doesn't have any kids yet, and it's kind of hard to keep up with all that's going on in Molly's life since she is so private, and even her Instagram page is set to private, and she looks dead set on keeping her prying eyes out of her life. But we can still get updates about her from other members of the family, and considering that we've never seen her with a baby bump on any of her family members' social media profiles, and no one's ever mentioned that she's had any kids, it's led a lot of people to wonder just how happy her marriage is, or if she's even still married at all. But Amy has confirmed that that wasn't the case earlier this year when she posted on Instagram that Molly and her husband Joel still live in Spokane, Washington together, and occasionally Amy does post pictures of her and Molly whenever they meet up. And speaking of Amy, Molly did make a brief cameo on Little People Big World last year while attending her and Chris's wedding, and although Molly didn't say much or anything at all for that matter really to the camera, I'm sure fans of Little People Big World will admit that it was really nice to see her on their screens again after so many years. And even though Molly lives so far away from the farm, she's still pretty close with her entire family, and she also probably pays them a visit when she can. And it looks like she recently paid her brother Jacob a visit right after he had his son Mateo with his wife Isabel. And Molly has shielded so much of her life from the spotlight that many people might have even forgotten what she does for a living, since it's pretty clear that she's not as interested in the farm as her brothers. And now for those of you that might be wondering what she actually does for a living, it turns out that Molly is a senior accountant. So far I think it's safe to say that Molly is probably the only Roloff family member that has a pretty normal job and doesn't have any drama surrounding her. And even if she does, we have to give her some credit for doing a really good job of hiding it from the world. I mean, she clearly wasn't involved in the tussle for the Roloff farm like her brothers, and honestly, I feel like she couldn't really care less about who takes over the farm, and some fans of Little People Big World have gone as far as to tag Molly as the best Roloff child, and let's just be honest here, I don't think any of her brothers would actually try to fight with her on that one. I guess all we can do right now is hope that Molly shares more of her life in the future, but you guys should definitely let me know what you think about Molly's new life in the comments below. And like always guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor, hit that like, follow, share, subscribe button, and y'all better stay tuned for many more videos.